School shootings are a nightmare that have become almost a daily reality in this country, and today we're here to answer the question, what happens to school shooters in prison?
An active shooter rampaging through Appalachia High School. Inside the school, gunshots, panic, and carnage. 4 people killed, 2 teachers and 2 students. 9 others were injured. School officials guided roughly 1,900 students to the football field. SWAT teams went classroom to classroom.
Tonight with a distinctly American tragedy, a mass shooting at a school. It started around 10:23 this morning when police say a teenage gunman opened fire at Appalachia High School and families rushed towards the school in search of their kids.
When Appalachia High went into lockdown this morning, at first, many students thought it was a drill. Then they heard gunshots.
Now there's one thing I can tell you for sure about people in prison, and that is that they do not like people that hurt children. School shooters have some of the worst times humanly possible in prison, and we're going to get into that in this video right now. Some of the things that you're about to hear are going to be shocking and grotesque, so if you're triggered easily, you might want to go and watch some Sesame Street. For the rest of us, let's go! Alright, so let's get right into this. We all know that everybody who's in prison did some bad stuff, right? But in prison, there is a hierarchy, and people who hurt children are at the absolute bottom of that barrel. Whether you be a pedophile or someone who hurt or killed a child, you are going to be absolutely hated by other inmates. But somebody who goes in and indiscriminately mass starts shooting innocent children, even if you happen to be another child, we're going to have major issues with you. And if inmates find a way to physically get access to a school shooter, they are going to use the most brutal methods at their disposal to be able to take care of them. So let's talk about what some of those methods are. First off, you have weapons. You have your standard shanks, your pokers, you have your bone crushers, which are basically just like machetes. Oftentimes they're made out of lawnmower blades. If they have access to the landscaping equipment, they'll stab you, slash you, slice, and dice you. Then you've got your standard bludgeoning items like a lock and a sock, a fist pack, or just taking your skull and connecting it with cement as many times as humanly possible. It's all very basic, but it gets great results. And you've got biological weapons, and these ones scare me the most out of them all. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like a dude running up with a syringe full of AIDS blood and sticking it in me and pushing it in, that sounds terrible to me. Also doo-doo, bro. Real life dookie. Shit and piss. People use this as weapons in prison, whether they just dip their shank in it and then stab you in the neck, or whether they mix it up in a cup and throw it in your face. That's absolutely nasty. And also, and I do not agree with this one in any way, shape, or form, but we also have the sexual assault, man. Whether it be sticking a broomstick up somebody's ass, or if a lifer decides that he wants to take one of these little school shooters and turn him into his punk and make him a butthole pincushion, that absolutely does happen in prison, and nobody cares if you're a school shooter. Ain't nobody gonna come and save your leather Cheerio if you were out there shooting at kids. School shooters are hated by literally everyone in prison, and they have a target on their backs 24/7. And I am not just talking about the inmates. I'm talking about correctional officers and other staff as well. See, a lot of people don't understand that these COs, these cops in there, they have children too. And they are not objective when those doors are closed, the cameras are gone, and people are done with their court cases. Believe it or not, there are states where the inmates are more concerned about being assaulted by staff members than they are the other inmates. The state of Florida is a great example of this, which just happens to be where Nicholas Cruz, the Parkland school shooter, is PC'd up in some little hole where nobody can find him. If these correctional officers don't directly assault these inmates themselves, they will facilitate other inmates doing it while they open the doors and look the other way. When I was in prison in the state of Oregon, we had a couple different COs that would tell me when a pedophile would land on my block, they would open the doors, and if the chomo tried to come out and snitch on me, they would tell that chomo, "You fell down! Do you understand me?" The other thing you need to understand about prison is that you are never going to hear a lot of the stuff that happens within inside those walls and inside those cells. It is not in the prison's best interest to make it look like prisons are a violent, out of control place. They are very meticulous with the information that they let get out into the media. Most of the time when you hear about a high profile inmate getting attacked, it's because the inmate themselves leaked the information, or because they had to be rushed to an outside hospital or a facility, and then they can't keep that quiet from the media. And the overwhelming majority of prison assaults assaults are never even reported to staff because people in there know if you snitch, you are going to get it 10 times worse when you get back to your cell block. Now, all of that said, prison does have protective, preventative measures for people that are high-profile inmates, and school shooters are always going to be high-profile inmates. Here's an educational clip sent out to Department of Corrections staff to help them understand and define the criteria for people who need special housing and protective custody, done by a warden who looks like he needs his hard drive checked.
Identifying, classifying, and segregating special management inmates. Individuals in categories that should be classified as special management may include
protective custody or court-imposed segregation inmates, inmates exhibiting mental health concerns, inmates who pose an escape threat, inmates who pose a threat of violence or gang affiliation, inmates with a known prior management problem, inmates who pose a suicide risk, inmates with a sexual orientation or gender issue, youthful, soft, effeminate-appearing inmates.
God, that dude is a dork! But even if somebody is in PC or protective custody, we still find ways around that to make sure that they get tortured and they have the worst quality of life humanly possible. One example is that at most facilities, the food is done on mainline and general population by those inmates that hate the people in PC. So we're the ones making their food. We're the ones scooping the trays. We're the ones who are taking it out to them. And we make sure that those dudes get all sorts of bad stuff in their food. I'm talking feces, I'm talking cleaning stuff, I'm talking broken glass. There's even dudes who have glazed the glizzies with their man junk juice. Also, let's talk about laundry, because laundry is generally done on mainline general population as well. And those are specifically going to certain inmates, and you can see the label on the clothing and know exactly who it's going to. And there are all sorts of chemicals in laundry that you can use. You can soak their clothes in them and toss them in the dryer, let it dry, and then when their sweat reactivates it, it gives them rashes and chemical burn all over their body and genitalia. Now, with that all being said, there are unfortunately some states that have whole entire prisons that are all protective custody to keep these disgusting little bastards safe. Like, for example, the place in California where they're holding Danny Masterson right now, the California Men's Colony. That place, the only way that you're going to get somebody in there is if you actually have somebody go and request protective custody and get sent in there specifically to run a mission. And gangs will do this, but it's not going to be to get a school shooter. It's going to be to get somebody who has done something wrong to somebody in their gang, like snitching out members of their gang, turning on them, things like that. So if a school shooter is in one of those states where they have this type of get down, it's highly likely that the school shooter might be able to slide through their whole life sentence without having too much violent interaction with other inmates. I saved that part for the very end because it's my least favorite part of this entire video. Just the idea that there are people in our society who are so sick that they will go to that type of length to keep absolute monsters safe. It makes me sad in the pants. But now you guys have a full education as to what happens to school shooters behind the walls where nobody can see what's going on, and you didn't even have to go in there to find it out. I just want to remind you guys once again, ain't nothing cool about going to prison. It just means you were doing scumbag shit in your community, and it means that you were sloppy enough to get caught. It doesn't make you gangster, it doesn't make you a man, and it definitely does not make you tough. There are a lot of lames in prison who get by just fine. So stay out here, stay on your grind, take care of your family. I love each and every one of you. Until the next one, be good or be good at it, baby. I'm out. Well, I was getting bullied at school, so I took a gun and I shot some students. Now I'm in prison, they're taking my butthole, and I'm really wishing that I listened